So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on energy sufficiency, how to shape sustainable behaviors. The webinar is organized by the Covenant of Mayors Europe office with the support of the Energy and Climate Department of the Paris Region Institute, that I thank very much, and in particular, Marilo Falk-Massé, who is our moderator today. The webinar is meant to introduce you to the topic of energy sufficiency and to showcase how it can be implemented in the several sectors of our societies, from mobility to building to digital infrastructure. Before we start, I invite everyone to switch off the cameras and the microphone. Of course, speakers will do the opposite when the time comes. If you have any questions, please use the chat. And I also inform you, as you already saw in the message below, that the webinar will be recorded and the recording will be shared through the Covenant of Mayors channels. Okay. Before getting into energy sufficiency, I want to briefly introduce what the Covenant of Mayors Europe is. So the Covenant is the world leading initiative on climate and energy addressed mainly to local authorities, but also involving ministry, regions, energy agencies, NGOs, and so on. The initiative was launched in 2008, at first in the European Union member states only, and then opened to the entire world. Nowadays, we count more than 10,400 municipalities, of which more than 10,200 are from the European Union member states. We have today the city of Antwerp, which is one of our most active municipalities. And we call them signatories because they sign a commitment document. We also have other type of members. In particular, we have more than 200 of what we call coordinators. So ministries, national energy agencies, regions, provinces, and counties that join the initiative to provide technical and financial support to the municipalities, to the signatories. We also have the category of supporters. So again, more than 200 supporters from the European Union. And they are non-profit organizations such as energy agencies, associations of local authorities, NGOs, and so on. And again, we have today one of our best representatives, the Energy Consortium DOST. Okay, so what are the benefits of being a member of the community? Well, first of all, every member receives endorsement and recognitions from the European Commission and large visibilities at European and international level, mainly thanks to the Covenant of Mayors communication channels, promotion of their activities, speaker spots in European international events, and so on. Members can also benefit from networking opportunities and knowledge sharing experience with similar organizations in Europe and in the rest of the world, and capacity building opportunities, both between peers and with experts. They also have the opportunity to promote their good practices and the achievements with the world community and consolidate their territorial developments and strengthen multi-level governance. One important feature that is offered mainly to coordinators, actually mainly to regions. So one feature that is offered to regions is the possibility to have scientific and technical feedback and recognitions by the European Commission and the Joint Research Center of the European Commissions on tools and methodologies for action plans development, and enjoy of a grouped analysis for all the action plans developed with these methodologies or tools. Another important feature, perhaps the main one, is our platform called My Covenant. This is mainly used by municipalities to submit their action plans and report on their progress and achievements, but it's also used by all the community to share their good practices, connect to each other, follow our e-learning modules, and so on. On the 21st of April of 2021, the Covenant of Mayors Europe started a new path, and our aim now is to support our community to reach climate neutrality by 2050. The municipalities that join now the Covenant of Mayors or renew their commitments to the initiative pledge to cut their greenhouse gases emissions, to improve the resilience to climate change, to tackle energy poverty, and to ensure a just transition for all the citizens and inhabitants of their territories. For Covenant of Mayors Europe, climate neutrality is defined as a state in which human activities result in no net effect on the climate system. Both the Covenant of Mayors Office and the European Commission are committed to ensure a just transition and fair transition for all the members of the community in all the member states, with a core principle of leaving no one behind. This means that while the ultimate object for all the members remain the same, which is climate neutrality by 2050, in reality, we have implemented a differentiated approach, meaning that contrary to what happened on the past, when we had one single target equal for all members, now it's up to the members, to the municipalities, to decide what are the steps to reach climate neutrality, and so what are their midterm targets on GHG emissions reduction. The only limit that we impose is that such targets shall be in line with European Union objectives and at least as ambitious as the national targets. We also want to foster the development of local climate pacts with citizens and stakeholders, as we believe that these groups shall be included both in the development and in the implementation of action plans if we really want to achieve climate neutrality. So this is what, this is everything, sorry. This is all from my side. For those of you that are not yet member of the community, I invite you to join, and you can see on the slide the link to register according to your category. And of course, if you have questions, you can contact the help desk at info@mayors.eu. And now I would like to introduce you to our moderator, Marie-Laure Falk-Massé. Marie-Laure is Energy Strategy and European Project Chief Manager at AREC, the Energy and Climate Department of Paris Region Institute. She supports local authorities in their energy and ecological transition projects, and she's also associated with European projects of the agency dealing with these issues. She's member of the French Committee of the European Energy Award and member of the Board of Directors of ATE, the French Associations for Energy Management and Environment. And Marie-Laure, the floor is yours. Just tell me if you want me to share the screen or you want to share yours.
Thank you, Maria-Angela. Nice to see you this morning and to share ideas on energy sufficiency with everybody this morning. Maybe I will try to share my screen. Do we have the poll now? I share my screen, or we can see my screen. Is that okay for you?
Yes. Yes. Do you want me to launch the poll?
Maybe we can launch the poll before my presentation. So in your opinion, what actions are related to energy sufficiency? So you have a multiple choice. Insulating a building, reducing the size of your fridge, limiting your urban sprawl, sharing your car with your neighbor, installing an efficient boiler. So let's go, you can answer to this poll. And maybe we will have this poll a second time, if possible, after all the presentations.
So far we have only 33 persons out of 48. So perhaps we can wait 1 minute more to allow everybody to answer.
do I need to stop the share of my screen if we want to see?
No, don't worry, because it's in a pop-up window. So when I will hand the pool, everybody will see the results.
Okay, thank you. So do you want me to present my presentation, or
shall we end the pool and launch the results?
Okay, launch the result.
Okay, now you should see the results on the screen.
Okay, this is really interesting because okay, some of the answers are not related to energy sufficiency, but to energy efficiency. That's what we are going to see this morning. Maybe we will comment this after the presentation. Is it possible? After the presentations.
Of course, as you please. So do I stop sharing the pool so that you can start?
Okay. Thank you, Mariangela. Okay. Possible for me to. I don't know why. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Marilo, we received a message that the volume is quite low. Can you just raise your voice, please?
Why is my voice? Is it better like this?
For me, yes. But,
a little bit more will be better.
Okay. So I think it's my computer. It's an old one. So what is energy sufficiency? Energy sufficiency is an approach that aims to reduce energy consumption through changes in behavior, lifestyle, and collective organization. Energy sufficiency is the first pillar of the energy transition, and it's dealing with the prioritization of the needs. The second pillar is energy efficiency, and energy efficiency is dealing with the technologies, the efficient technologies that reduce consumption at the scale of a given object or system. And the goal of the sufficiency is not the product, but the service. As an example, we need to communicate. We don't need a smartphone. We need comfort. We not need the boilers. We need fresh food, but not refrigerators, for example. So if we compare to the, if we go back to the poll, yes, installing an efficient boiler is not energy sufficiency. Insulating a building is not energy sufficiency. Both are energy efficiency. But the other one are dealing with energy sufficiency. When you reduce the size of your fridge to adapt to your needs, when you are limiting your urban sprawl, and also when you share your car with your neighbor. We are going to see some example now. Problem with my slides. Okay. So what is AREC, first of all, what is AREC doing with energy sufficiency? We are in charge of the regional animation to support the regional energy and climate strategy. That is to say, it's more than energy sufficiency, but also energy efficiency, renewable energies, circular economies, and so on. A lot of issues dealing with energy and ecological transition. We are currently organizing a workshop series with the objective, and the objective is to imagine together a chosen, fair, collective, and innovative sufficiency for the regions, and to propose recommendations to the local authorities. We are launching also an observatory of initiatives dealing with energy sufficiency in the region, but also in France, in Europe, and all over the world in order to learn from the others. In January, we will launch a study on the imaginaries of sufficiency for the region. And we would like also to have an experimentation with local authorities next year in the Paris region. Some example of sufficiency. First of all, the structural sufficiency. That is to say, creating in the organization of space or of our activities the conditions for moderation in our consumption. We have some examples categorized by objectives. By example, if the objective is to refresh the city, we have a lot of means. We can use nature-based solutions, reflecting materials, also water management, and this will have some impacts. By example, improve the summer comfort, use less air conditioning, and so on. The city of Paris uses this in its adaptation plan for 2050. You can also combat the urban sprawl, and this will have important impacts in the reducing of distance, the decreasing number of travelers also. This is the concept of the 15 minutes city, dealing with urban proximity. And another example is to ensure equitable access to public space by developing pedestrian zones, bicycle paths, and also public transport. This will have a positive impact on active mobility and also on health. In Ile-de-France, by example, the region is developing a regional bicycle path network just parallel to the public transport network. We can talk also about collaborative sufficiency, that is to say the mutualization of equipments and of their use. By example, the car sharing formulas or also the co-working premise. So you can adapt this to the housing, to the travel, or also to work by developing, by example, collective laundries. We know that a lot of countries in Europe are developing collective laundries, like in Germany, Belgium, and so on. It's not the case in France, but some experimentation are launching in collective laundries. This is also related to do-it-yourself stores, repair cafe, and so on. And in matter of travel, it's dealing with car sharing, carpooling, public transports, but also the solidarity, the garage and bikes, dealing with solidarity economy. In matter of works, you have the third place, the co-working premise, and some example of scalable architecture. That is to say, buildings that are shared maybe between during the day with administrative as administrative premises, and this premise can be occupied in the night by associations or so. Another example of sufficiency is a sufficiency dealing with users, that is to say the proper use of equipment with a view to reducing consumption. An example is the speed limit on the road. There was an important European project on this. The name was Energy Neighborhood, with Energy Neighborhood was launched by Germany and some French. There was also some French partners in this European project, and it's challenges between family in order to save energy, save waters, and so on. You have also the educational apartments. We have in Western Paris a traveling educational apartment. This is really interesting to show to people how to control the consumption of heating, electricity, and water, and the standby power of electrical appliance. Another interesting example is the public lighting with the starred towns and villages. We have 22 local authorities awarded in the Paris region by a national association dealing with light pollution. By example, it's to cut the light during the night or to limit the number of lighting points. You can also have example dealing with eco-driving training. The group La Poste Enfance is dealing with this. And the last one is the dimensional sufficiency, which is the correct dimensioning of facilities in relation to their condition of use. Example, choose equipment adapted to the use. So you choose a vehicle, the size and the power of your vehicle adapted to your use, to the number of travelers, and so on. It can also be applied to the size of the housing with the development of the tiny house. Okay. You can find more information on federm.org about energy sufficiency. There is a working group dealing with this, and also a workshop series organized last year. I thank you for your attention, and we will find more information on our website and also on the website of the ENF network and the ECEE website. Thank you for your attention. And I will stop to share my screen. Okay. I don't know if there is some question now or not.
For the time being, no, nothing on the chat.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Joanna. So Joanna Wallin is our next speaker. Joanna is a project manager and communications officer at Energy Agency of Southeast Sweden, Energikontor Sydost. She has worked with a number of cargo bike projects for the 5 last year, and she's going to talk about how the public sector can work towards an energy sufficiency transport system by promoting cargo bikes as one of the solutions. The floor is yours, Joanna.
Thank you, Marie-Laure. I'm going to share my screen first. So we have that started. And yes, I'm going to talk about cargo bikes as an energy sufficient solution to urban transport needs. And in urban communities, around 80% of the car trips are shorter than 3 to 4 kilometers. And where a normal bike or a bus might not be a convenient alternative, an electrically powered cargo bike can very well do the job. And in larger cities, cargo bikes has become an ordinary sight, but we've shown that even in small and medium-sized cities, cargo bikes can be a successful alternative. But when we're talking about a sustainable transport system, you have to bear in mind that there is not just one solution for us to achieve a sustainable transport system. And it's not only about choosing the right type of vehicle or the type of fuel, it's also about making other choices. And to do that, the first thing is to ask yourself, is this trip even necessary? And if it is, what are your choices? Having an energy sufficient approach to travel can mean that you choose to use a cargo bike instead of using a car or a lorry or something like that. By even partially replacing travel by car or local cargo distribution by lorries, it's possible to achieve both reduce climate impact and obtain health benefits. And cargo bikes are on the rise as a part of a solution to tackling those short distances and last mile solutions. So cargo bikes are becoming an important component in the solution for future logistics and transports in our cities. And using cargo bikes has a number of benefits that support different goals a public actor might have. It's the strategic perspective that makes cargo bikes not a choice for your own transport, but it's also a choice of something bigger, like reduced CO2 emissions, health improvements, better air qualities, reduced traffic jams, and so on. And it's also cost saving. A cargo bike is much cheaper than a car or a lorry. So how could a city then lead the transition? Municipalities are key actors in the transition towards a sustainable transport system, both within their own organizations and as a driving force for residents and businesses. Like within the municipality, cargo bikes can be used at schools, by street cleaners, for document transportations, and so on. And letting residents try cargo bikes as part of their daily routine, grocery shopping, taking the kids to school, commute to work, or travel to places in their leisure time, is a way for them to try to see the possibilities. And the same with businesses and organizations. A municipality can offer cargo bike trials for companies that deliver food or material, transport small cargo at short distances. And in that way, either leading by example or helping other actors to try the cargo bike for their needs. I've been working with a number of cargo bike projects in the last 5-6 years, and in the last one here, which was called Cobium, we had some special findings. The project was about having lending schemes or cargo bike pools set up to let residents and businesses and municipalities try a cargo bike. And a large part of that was cargo bike libraries. And we found that they are an effective way of promoting cargo by setting up a lending system for actors to choose. And it shows that between, on the evaluations we've done, shows that between 20 to 40% of the participants have been borrowing bikes from the bike libraries, considering purchasing the same or a different model of cargo bike after they try a period. And we had GPS trackers on our cargo bike in the project, and the data shows that 65% of all the trips were shorter than 2 kilometers. And this confirms the assumption that cargo bikes are best suited for city driving. And by an estimation made by some Swedish traffic researchers, it shows that a cargo bike saves about 5 tons of CO2 a year compared to a small truck. So it's actually measurable change or lower of emissions. Our evaluation also showed that municipalities that offer good opportunities for lending cargo bikes is a good way of supporting the modal shift to cargo bikes. And as a leading by example, there are like 2 main applications for internal use. Either you buy a cargo bike and place it directly at a specific department, or you set up a sort of cargo bike pool within the organization where employees can borrow bike when they need it. Another thing to bear in mind when it comes to cargo bikes, that they differ from like a regular bike, because they can be 2 or 3 or 4 wheels. They can have cargo in the front or in the back. They can be designed to carry people, cargo, or provide services like a coffee shop or a tool or repair shop or something like that. So the type you want depends on your needs. So it's really important that you do some sort of a needs analysis before you go and buy a cargo bike, if you want it to work good in your organization. And another thing that is important when it comes to cargo bikes that differ from regular bikes is the size of it, especially when it comes to bike lanes and parking and such. But even if a cargo bike is larger than an ordinary bike, they're much, much smaller than a car or a truck. So it's still very efficient. So I mentioned this project that we've had, Cobium. We were, it was a South Baltic program funded project, and it ended in October this year. And we were 8 partners working together to test these different strategies, pilots for supporting the modal shifts to cargo bikes. So at the cobium.eu website, you'll find a guideline which is a support for cities that want to explore the possibilities of promoting cargo bikes within their own organization or out to citizens or businesses and organizations. You can also find more details and stories about the pilots on the webpage. And I'll put in the chat, I'll put some links to the films that we made. We made a films where we have interviewed and followed people that borrowed bikes and municipalities that done that and their experiences of this. And so I really think you should look at that when you have a time later on. And that's actually what I had to say. Are there any questions so far?
Joanna, you sent me a poll. Do you want me to launch it?
I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. You do that. I'll stop sharing, or do you?
You can keep sharing, it's not a problem. The poll will be in a pop-up window.
All right, okay. So I was a bit curious about you. If you don't have any questions for you, I have for you. So please read through the pop-out question, the poll, and I'm very interested to see your answers. Can you all see it?
Yes.
And do we have any answers? I guess we will come back to that, or are you planning to show the results immediately?
We can wait 1 minute so that everybody has the time to answer to the poll, and then yes, we can close it and share the results. So far, only 20 participants over 49 answered. So yeah, we can wait 1 more minute.
Great. And as I said, I'll put some links in the chat for you. And if there are any questions, I can't see any questions in the chat, or do you have questions also if somebody just raises their hand?
Joanna, Dominique speaking. I cannot see the link you shared.
Okay, they're coming right now.
Okay, yeah, now yes.
I had to try to talk and copy and edit at the same time. Right.
Thank you.
So I'll stop my sharing now. And if you think of any questions, you just put them in the chat and I'll answer them during. Otherwise, I think I'm done for now. And I'll be, oh yeah, that's a question. Oh, it's really hard to say how many countries in the world or in Europe that works with cargo bikes, but I know there are projects going on at many different countries in Europe right now, but I don't have a compilation of what's going on right now, but yeah.
Joanna, while we wait for the poll, there is also another question in the chat. Can you mention something on how to arrange the charging of electric cargo bikes?
Yeah, whether you have a sort of cargo bike pool within your municipality, or if you have like a lending scheme, it's important to share the instructions on how and when to charge the cargo bike. And that's the thing in the guidelines that we discuss a lot, the organization around the cargo bike library, so that everybody knows how to drive a cargo bike, but because that could be a bit different than driving a regular bike. And it's also the routines for charging. If you have like a cargo bike pool, you should have rules like you have for a car pool. Leave your vehicle clean and charged or filled up with whatever fuel it is. It's the same thing. You have to think of the same kind of things to have the routines on how to do it and instruct the users how to do it. But otherwise, you know, charging an electric bike is just plugging in an ordinary electrical, you know, plug-in in the wall. It's no special charging like for electrical cars, for example.
Thank you. So if you agree, I would stop the poll, share the results so that you can comment on them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see again the results on the popping up window.
Great. So transport is not an issue for most of you, but maybe you could sort of, you have colleagues or anything, you can give them a tip or send them the information on the website and say, because I think we have some really nice, interesting results there. And as for you that you might know, but don't know where to start, I'll just direct you to that guidelines, because it's a sort of a guideline how to start, what to think about, how to put it into your strategic perspectives, and how these actions can help you reach your climate and energy targets within your organization. And it's also very practical what to think about, as I said, with the charging and the routines for this and the needs analysis. Everything is there. So, and you that are already, you know, working with cargo bikes and promotion, yay, cargo bikes are nice, right? So, see, it's not working. Let's try again. Yeah, somebody put up the address. Yes. Yeah, I see that. Right, and if you have any more questions, put them in the chat or save them to last in the program for today. I'm going to be in the general question answer part of the project or the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. You are an inspiration. Your projects are an inspiration for the Paris region. Now the regional council is given subsidies to municipalities that put in place cargo bikes for deliveries. So thank you.
Great, interesting.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We are now going to give the floor to Jan Mulleman. So Jan Mulleman is the coordinator of the Eco House, which is the demonstration and advice center for the city of Antwerpen in Belgium, Antwerp. Where citizens can get inspiration, advice, support for energy savings and energy renovations, and also renewable energies. Jan is also the coordinator of the Energy Saving Fund, where citizens can get financing for energy renovations and renewable energy. Jan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marie-Laure. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yes, this should be visible.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for organizing this webinar and giving me the opportunity to present some of our experiences on energy sufficiency and most specifically the social innovation in energy transition project that we have here in the city of Antwerp. First, a little bit about the city of Antwerp and why we put so much focus on social innovation in energy transition. Well, as any large city, we have ambitious climate goals. We are a signatory of the Covenant of Mayors, but we notice, just as any large city would notice, I guess, that not everyone can, not all the citizens have the same means to take part in this energy transition. We notice that we have large step to make with regard to energy retrofitting of the housing stock, but there are large obstacles there. About half of our population lives in housing that they rent, private rent. And we also have about 3/3 of the housings that are apartment buildings, where a majority of votes is needed. But most specifically, we have in Antwerp very high energy poverty, which makes that we have to make sure that these climate ambitions, these climate goals, that we have to make a just transition there, and that everyone can take part in this energy transition. We do have a set of instruments already in place for a number of years that specifically focus, let's say, social target groups to help them with their energy savings, energy renovation, renewable energy. But still, we feel the need for social innovation and specifically to work together with external stakeholders that bring a lot of insights and new ideas too. So we joined the Summit project, where the central question was, how and to what extent can social innovation contribute to the transition towards sustainable and affordable energy for all? So it's a living labs approach where we experiment and learn and try to integrate that into our way of thinking and setting up new projects. It's a project with 5 cities, each of them doing projects based on their current situation and ideas. It's a Horizon 2020 project. And I would like to highlight what we have done in this project and what we learned from it. The first step was that we wanted to sit together with a large number of stakeholders to ask them, how should we as a city tackle this problem and go for social innovation in energy transition. A long list of ideas came out of that, so we had to do a number of iterations and rounds to select 4 projects that I will explain you about in the next slides. The first one was to set up an energy community at the level of a street specifically a street where the people who live there have it's a social target group. Let's say these people don't always have the means to invest in renewable energy. So we wanted to see, is it possible to create an energy community and to share renewable energy and to share experiences. So we wanted to make sure that everyone would have access to renewable energy. And it's a collaboration with an energy cooperative here in Antwerp and a number of other external partners, and of course the city of Antwerp. I'll come to the results of these projects later. First, say something about the second project in this, the second objective. To design a rental system for energy efficient household appliances. We see a lot of citizens having problems with their energy bills, where household appliances that consume a lot, old household appliances, fridges, freezers, laundry machines, cause a part of this high energy consumption. So we wanted to see if it is possible to create a rental system. It's in fact an existing project in the western part of Flanders that we wanted to see if we can implement this in Antwerp. An all-inclusive service for these people, where it is the most efficient household appliance, and a quality control. If the household appliance is damaged or broken, it will be replaced and so on. And also there it is a collaboration between social services in Antwerp, environment department in Antwerp, and a business as well. Third part is something that I cannot translate. I tried very hard to find an English word for it. A noodkoopfonds, it's a fund, it's a rolling fund to help invest in energy renovation and also the improvement of insufficient quality in houses for a specific group of people who got stuck in a house that they bought with all their means because they can't find a rental place. They're kind of forced to buy a house with the maximum of their means, and they buy something that is, of course, of low quality, and then get stuck in this situation because all the means they have go to the energy consumption of this house, and they don't have the financial means anymore to make the necessary investments so that this energy bill would go down. And it's a fund, and it's a loan that they it's a bullet loan, so they pay it back all in the end and not on a monthly basis. Also here, it's a collaboration between social services of the city of Antwerp, the environment department of the city of Antwerp, but also the Flemish government and the electric grid operator. And then a fourth one, which I will not go into detail too much because due to a change of legal aspects, the business model for this project was altered right when it started, and so it got stuck somewhere there. Some results. The first project, the Energy Community Project, got a lot of attention in this street and a good response. The most important part there is that there was someone in this street that wanted to collaborate intensively. So one of the key successes there is to have one citizen one or several citizens that want to go ahead with this project and talk to neighbors, and from there it went very well. We have a number of energy monitors that are installed. PV panels are installed on one house and one school. 3 batteries installed, and they plan an electric car, a shared electric car next year. And the project is also continued in a climate fund from Antwerp to upscale it. The rental system for energy efficient household appliances got tendered. The agreements are being finalized, and the rental will start at the beginning of next year. And also the supplier is contracted. So we're looking forward to those results over the next years. As said, the third one, collective good, is on PV solar panels on rental houses, but due to legal changes, this project is currently on hold. And the last one has been a long and difficult process to make sure that all the city departments involved are in agreement and know how to deal with these specific loans. But the first 2 contracts have been approved last Friday, and meanwhile the Flemish government has opened a second call, and Antwerp has decided. We were very happy to see that Antwerp has decided to sign in on the second call as well. But maybe more importantly for you all is to see that what we learned from this all is that a fair energy transition is something that needs a lot of collaboration and needs funding. So what we did is afterwards we have a small budget in the city of Antwerp, which we call the Antwerp Climate Fund. And from the results of the Sonnet project, we decided to open a call for a project specifically on fair and just energy transition. And there were 4 projects submitted, and 3 of them have been approved. One of which is, as I said, an extension on the energy community, Stalinstraat energy community project from the Sonnet. And another one is solar cargo hub. So I was very interested to hear on the previous speaker, Joanna, with their experiences. So looking forward to see those results as well. But I think my main take-home message here is that social equality in energy sufficiency and energy transition is a verb, is something that will not happen all by itself. It needs a lot of collaboration between different stakeholders within your city and within stakeholders outside of your city administrations, and as well as the citizens themselves, who are more than willing to step up and take part in these projects. But it will always be case by case and a challenge by challenge, because every single challenge will require different stakeholders to take part, a different approach maybe, but a good collaborative action. And it will need financing, in my view. I put a question mark there. If anyone disagrees, I'm more than happy to learn. But it will need financing because they will not happen all by themselves. And those were my take-home messages, and I'm happy to take any questions as you like.
Thank you, Jan. This is very inspiring also. And I like the social equality. Social equality has a very important goal of the energy transition. I don't know if there are questions now, but I have one about your community at the level of the street. How did you convince people to participate? How did you choose this specific street?
Well, we communicated that we were looking for a street to take part in this experiment, and as I mentioned, we had one very enthusiastic citizen that said, "I believe in this kind of approach. I believe this is necessary, and I see this as a way to communicate with my fellow citizens in my street, to get to know them even. Some you know some of them, you know that maybe you will be able to convince some of them. Other people in your street, you don't know them, you know their faces, but you have never discussed anything about energy transition or whatever. So one citizen who was very enthusiastic and collaborated on this. So that will be a challenge if you want to expand this, but there are also streets that have similar projects doing things together with people in their street on completely different topics or subjects. And those already have a group. So if they are convinced about renewable energy, they might be able to replicate this project in their street.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jan. Now there is another question in the chat, but now I propose that we go to the presentation of Bella, and afterwards we will answer to the question.
Perfect. I can try to answer a little bit in the chat already, and meanwhile we'll listen to the next speaker. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Jan. We are going now to give the floor to Bella Goto. So Bella is the founder of Point de Mire. So Point de Mire is the House of Sustainable Computer Science, Information and Computer Science. And she is also the co-founder of Mire Advice and Training, Mire Conseil et Formation. And she's the author of several publications, such as the Handbook of a More Responsible Digital Life. And I think it's available in English, in French, both in French and in English, Bella. So the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for this invitation. I had some issues with my camera when I wanted to share my screen, so maybe...
Do you want me to share your presentation?
No, because it would be more easy for me to have the now, but maybe I won't be there with the picture, but with my voice, and no problem. So
if you want, I can try to share the screen and give you control of my computer.
Sorry, just can you see my screen?
Yes, can you put full screen?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying and trying and trying. Just maybe some delay. Yeah, do you have it?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much for this invitation. And my subject is to, I'm going to try to answer the question, what could be e-sobriety? I just wanted to say just before that Point de Mire is a house of sustainable IT and not scientific something, but no problem. It's an activity that I have for several years now, 10 years. Okay, so what could be e-sobriety? That would be my question, and then I will like to start with several key figures. For example, the digital world is now made up of 34 billion equipments with around 4 billion users. And today we have, for example, 50% of the worldwide population connected to the internet through several devices, as you know. Digital devices. The size of the digital universe could have been multiplied by 3 to 5 between 2010 to 2025. Indeed, according to a recent study, the number of devices will rise drastically because of connected devices, because of the 5G, you know, and the doubling of the average screen size, including television sets, for example, and the electricity production of emerging countries. Also, the data will be multiplied by 5 from 2018 to 2025. You can see some other key figures, from example, for primary energy consumption from the digital universe, electricity consumption, and greenhouse gas emission, of course, around 4%. And also 2 other indicators, water consumption and the abiotic resources I will talk about later. So if we can see that the emission, the greenhouse gas emission, are growing like 6 to 8% each year, which is very, very fast, too fast, and the faster sector, which is growing so fast. So if we have a look at a simplified life cycle, we have a lot of things to do, because most of the users think that IT and internet are something like magical, and we all know that our digital world is not immaterial. The problem is that what's going on behind our screen, our computers, our smartphones don't smell anything. They don't spit any black smoke, and they seem to be very, very clean, but they are not at all. So as you can see, a product or a service goes through several phases: extracting, manufacturing, distribution, usage, and of life. And it's very important to visualize the whole picture, to have a systemic view. To understand the sustainability of computers and information appliances, we must look at the life cycle of the devices themselves, from the source of the raw materials that are made out of, and through the production process, they're used by the consumer, us, and finally their disposal. It's very important to remember that two-thirds to three-quarters of the environmental footprint is happening during the first stage. This is why I put it in red. So about extraction, for example, the digital electronic devices require some of the rarest metal on Earth, and this has increased the energy demand required to produce the devices. That's partly due to the energy invested in produces these rarer resources, but also because of the high purity demanded by the semiconductor industry. The laws of physics require that to make something pure through refining, you have to use more and more energy to remove progressively more of the unwanted impurities. And the metal used to make microchips, for example, must be extremely pure, and as any impurities affect the conductive quality and speed of the chip. So to obtain metals, we need, in a digital industry, we need to extract minerals through mining, of course. So this industry is an incredibly dirty industry. A huge quantity of rocks have to be destroyed. Water and solvents have to be used only to get a tiny quantity of metal. Pollutions, child exploitation, violation of labor law, population displacement, etc. Working conditions in electronic manufacturing are also catastrophic, and we can even talk, and I'm not afraid to talk about that, because we can talk about e-slavery. During the usage phase, usage step, it's mostly about consumption, electricity of terminal, networks, and water for cooling, for instance, data centers. And for the end of life stage, measuring is difficult at this stage, but several points of pollution of water, of air, of soil, water tables, for instance, and health and human impacts. So this is not very, very, very beautiful, but this is the reality. How about Europe? According to a new study prepared for the parliamentary group of the Greens EFA in the European Parliament, very, very recent because it was last week, we can have key and up-to-date data of the real environment impacts of digital technology in Europe, as well as policy recommendations. As you can see, just very simply, as you can see that the majority of the impacts occur during the manufacturing phase, 54%, before the equipment is used. And 71% of the environmental impacts come from end user devices. So terminals are the very, very big question. You can see also about climate change, resources, waste production, and electricity consumption. What are the impacts always in Europe? for one European, this is the equivalent to 1 year of the following. You will be able to read it later if you want. I just wanted to say also that we can see here 4 fundamental environmental indicators, which partially reflect the environmental footprint of the digital world. And my point here is to say that digital footprint is not only a question of energy consumption, not only a question of greenhouse gas emission, but also, and this is very important to understand, that is also about abiotic resource depletion and of course tension of fresh air, for example. So it's very important to have this kind of indicator in mind. Many other impacts, if you want, if we have a bigger picture, like air pollution, soil pollution, loss of biodiversity, and there are also other big social and very, very huge human issues like indecent salaries, labor abuses, conflicts like in Democratic Republic of Congo. And we are talking here about conflict minerals, as you know, probably, e-waste and illegal export despite the Basel Convention, which controls cross-border, which try to control cross-border movements. So here we have the European Commission review in a list of critical raw materials for the European Union every 3 years, screening 83 materials. And we can say that economic importance and supply risk are the 2 main parameters used to define what we call a criticality. So it's not it's not only about scarcity, but very big problem about economic and supply risk. So what we could say just on this slide is just to show you that recycling in digital technology is a real problem, a very big problem, because you can see here a generic smartphone, for example, and the circles indicate blue and black indicate metals with recycling rates less than 1%. So you have the majority or the half of the minerals which are recycled less than 1%. So the emergency is to think redeployment, to give a second life for each equipment. So my conclusion, my last idea, my last thought would be that if we had just one thing to remember, it would be extending the lifespan of equipment, and digital technology has to be considered as a non-renewable critical resource in less than 1 and 2 generations. So e-sobriety is not only about energy. In our field, it's not about only energy. It's about a lot of indicators and, as I said, abiotic resources, for example. So that was just what I wanted to say and to tell you. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Bella. Well, we learned a lot about digital sufficiency today. Before the Q&A session, I would like to say that unfortunately, Mr. Cuff had last-minute obligation in the European Parliament, so he couldn't participate this morning. I would like to go back to question in the chat. And Jan, we had a question about your partnership with Bosch. Was it hard to get them on board? And how does the project work practically for them?
Yes, maybe I can say a few words about this. In my view, it was not at all hard for us to bring them on board, but as I said, it was we were replicating a project that ran already in the western part of Flanders. And they had a partnership with Bosch already. Nevertheless, for legal reasons, this was again tendered, and Bosch reapplied to this. So it does mean that they do see a market for them there in this renting of energy efficient household appliances. Meanwhile, they even came with a project of their own to try, small scale at this moment, to try and have a social employment project. That they have already a social employment project where they get older, where they refurbish household appliances from their brand, and to bring them back into circulation, which, with the last speaker in mind, a longer life for each, not only for appliances, but also general household appliances, is something we all should cheer for. So in my view, it was not hard to bring Bosch on board, but I think the whole thing starts with communicating very well why you want to do this, and giving them flexibility on how to do this, and that's something that works for them. Renting these, giving these household appliances for rent, and assuring some business continuation and quality assurance of these appliances.
Okay, thank you, Jan. I think there is now a question for Bella, a question from Joanna.
Joanna, we saw you raise the hand. Do you want to ask a question or?
No. I was just applauding.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Yes, then we have a question from Bella in the chat. It's about Bitcoins. And it is known that Bitcoins use more electricity than other devices. And what's Bella's opinion about these issues?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I won't be very long for this, but because it's an issue, of course. It's something like other usage, because I didn't talk about a lot of usage because the very important is the terminal, as I hope you understood that. But crypto money, for example, is of course something like which can be compared with some country like Switzerland or Ireland in the electricity consumption. So it's huge. It's a very big question, and it's an issue. Yeah, but don't forget that the main impact are else because they are one usage, for example, for usage there is the streaming, which is a big issue as well, but it's not so big that than the terminal assembling, for example, or manufacturing. So but it's a new issue, crypto money. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bella. There is another question. What happened with the green digital chapter, where this EU project ended up?
You mean the Green Deal, something with the digital chapter? Yeah, Europe is working on it, and last week there was a very as I said, there was a very interesting report for Europe, and maybe I can give you the link of this study in the chat later. And they're working on it, but I think it's there is an opposition between what they would like to do and what are they doing in the facts I can explain myself. There's an opposition. If we want e-sobriety, we have to sell and to buy less, and this is not the our system, capitalistic system. So if we understand that e-sobriety is less, I'm buying less and or I'm selling less, it would be okay. But I think there is an opposition and a contradiction between what we want to do and when we are calling it, when we are dealing about sobriety, it's understanding that we should change something in the economic system. That's my opinion. So I don't know, but I think it's, for example, we shouldn't say green digital, for example, or Green Deal. I think the green digital chapter is something like, I don't want to say greenwashing, but it's something like that, because a digital cannot ever be green, because it's always very impactful. So we can do better, but we cannot be green. So I think we should be careful with the words. And yeah, they're trying to have best practices, and organizations are doing their best maybe, but we're not at the end of the tunnel. So I don't know if I answered the question. It was rather than an opinion. So.
Okay, thank you. So there is some links in the chat. I don't know if you have. Oh, the question was not answered. Or
Yeah, what I said, I can say just one more word. That I know that, for instance, Europe are trying to defend some reparability index, like in France. So I know that they had to discuss about this real question now. Yeah, that was in November. So I don't know anything else about that, but I know that it was a question of reparability, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. By the way, Bella, do you have some tips for our digital departments in, by example, in my business or in municipalities?
The principle, the main, the first tip would be to be careful with your terminal and with your machines, because this is the very first step to have a lifespan very longer. And as I said just before, it's usually disappointed to say that, because it's very difficult to do that, but it's the only one way to manage and to do some progress in this area. You can also be careful with your power management. So it would be perfect to switch off all the terminals and all the machines every day and every night and every weekend, which is not done usually. So power management is something very important also. And you can also be careful and do your best with some other usage, like streaming, like there's a lot of tips with this kind of things. And I can have 5 minutes to say that, because there are a lot of things. And that's why I wrote a book about that, because to have a holistic view and to give some, I think there is maybe 150 tips about this, like that, to do best. But extending the lifespan of the terminals is the most important, and power management. Yeah, I would say that for the beginning.
Oh, thank you. There is another question for Jan. There is an increasing interest from you and region on energy communities. You spoke about race and experience sharing. Was it among citizens only? At what scale? How did you manage to involve citizens in taking part in the project?
Yes, a very good question. In fact, the the energy community project that we had in this one street predated the transposition of the energy communities laws into Belgian legal context. So we didn't have a frame for that. That's why it was done with an energy cooperative, so that everyone who participates at least has this share in the energy cooperative, and it is only from the, let's see, is it from the start of January next year that the energy communities law is effective in Flanders, in Belgium. And then even then only with a lot of restrictions. It will only be half of next year or by the end of next year that it will be that some of those restrictions for the startup phase will be taken away. So at this moment, it is only a very it is not a true energy community. It is rather making sure that that everyone who wants to participate in the street can share through an energy corporation, a cooperative, I mean, but with a view to expand to a true energy community as soon as the legal context allows it. But the experience to have different citizens within the same street discuss about participating in solar panels on their roof, solar panels on the school. Can we take energy from the school when they are producing energy and not consuming it? How should we do this? This is through local and green energy. That in itself brings shifts the attention of the citizens, and that's in itself is already a good experience to see. But we're looking forward to the energy communities being operational in the legal context without restrictions, as there will be still for the first startup of energy communities in Belgian law. Maybe I can comment. I saw also one question on Bosch. Where can we find more information? I believe the Bosch, as I mentioned, they have now their own small-scale startup of rental, and I believe it is called Blue Movement, Bosch Blue Movement. And the rental of refurbished ones is not in the Blue Movement. That's only Belgium, small scale. But I'm not sure if there's public data on that. I tried to Google it now, but I can't find anything on this. So I think that's still too local and too experimental to make a big communication campaign about this.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Question, Mariangela?
Actually, we arrived at the end of our webinar because it's 11:30.
So I think I will give you the floor to conclude.
Yes. Well, perhaps, Melissa, we can stop the recording now. Thank you.